All right, ladies and gents, welcome back to another episode of the John X Mike podcast. It's John X Fire here with MLP Dota. Mike, how are you doing today?
John, I don't know if you can hear me. I can't hear you right now.
Oh,
sir,
goodness,
in case
give
you
me a
can
sec.
hear me.
Give me a sec. I messed up somewhere. This is good. Let's see.
Oh no, has he mute? Oh, look at this.
Hello?
John X exposed right now.
Hello, Mike. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Hold on. Is it my fault? Hold on. Let me look at my settings, John.
Give me a sec. Issues at start. Do you like to see it? Give me 1 sec.
I don't think it's my
Microphone check.
I think it's on your end this time.
Hang on. I think that needs a reconnect. 1 sec. Hang on a sec. Got some issues. All right. Wait a sec. Where is that? All right. Yep. In and out. Mike, do you hear me?
Hello, Jonathan. Now I can hear you, sweetheart. Thank you for that.
All right.
What happened?
I'm not too sure. It looked like I needed to jump in and out of Discord. Let's do that again. Welcome to another episode of the John X Mike podcast. It is John X Fire here, joined by MLP Dota. Mike, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, Jonathan. It appears my camera's now misaligned, so I could be better, I suppose, if you don't mind. I realize it's all about John X Fire, John. I know you want to just look good and make poor old MLP look worse and worse, but I need my beautiful line. There we go. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you very much. I've been doing well, John. It's been stressful times as usual. My life never is easy. There's always problems going on, but I've been well. I've been looking forward to this podcast. I've been looking forward to the games tonight, and we've got some pretty hype matchups tonight. More importantly, Jonathan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Mike. My eyes are slowly recovering. Still need the shades for light, but it's a lot better. By the end of this week, I think the doctor's been telling me by week 3 it should be all good. So that's when maybe by next week I don't have the shades on, but we'll see. Should be a good time. I think pertinent points first before anything else. That interview that we wanted to do to kick off our interview series with Jaha, with VT Faded first, he did say yes. He hasn't responded to a date, so that's kind of fun. But he has said yes, and we did warn him beforehand that if he does come on, it's going to be hard-hitting questions. We're not going to hold back on every single accusation. Yeah. We'll push him hard, and he said yes to that. So I'm looking forward to when he does finally respond with a date. But for now, no date. So, you got to hang on for that. But we'll have him eventually, Mike.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing, right? Like, I don't believe in interviewing a person when they've been accused of something like match fixing or sharing accounts. I don't believe in interviewing them in a passive way, right? Like they've got to be assertive questions. We've got to get to what am I looking for? What's the word here, John? We've got to get to the crux of it, right? We need to understand what's going on. Obviously, you and I get frustrated anytime these kind of things happen. Fans get frustrated, more importantly, and you can't have that happening. So I'm very glad to see VT Fader did say yes to having a chat with us. And again, at the end of the day, if you're innocent, you've got nothing to be worried about. We're not here to crucify anyone. In fact, if anything, we're here to prove their innocence. So hopefully we're able to get that interview series underway rather soon. But like John said, we've got to find a date. Just, it's fair enough. He's a busy man. He's a pro player after all. So, he might need a bit of time to figure out a date. We always need time to figure out a date as well. In fact, I've got quite a few messages of people I need to respond to right now about certain dates. So, we'll forgive him for now, John. Is there any other pertinent issues we need to talk about, though, before we can carry on?
I think I want to tackle this straight off the bat, Mike. So, as we all know, NGX had their match postponed because COVID. They had COVID and their match was postponed. I've gotten so many questions from people about why the Boom match wasn't. So there's a couple of points there. One, it's two different TOs and two different standards. BTS is much more strict. I mean, we have our number one admin, Dougie, and if the rules say, only extreme weather can cut you off and stuff, then that happens. There's also another point where I'm not entirely sure about the timeline of what led Boom to actually keep trying, right? Like, if it was inclement weather, you could try to ask. And in as far as I know, from everyone I've talked to, that wasn't something I've ever heard mentioned. So it's circumstantial. I think Boom expected to be able to leave, because from all people I've talked to, from Zach, from Gary, Boom was trying for 2 hours to get a taxi. Boom was trying for 2 hours to get an Uber. There was no taxi coming through, so they had no way of leaving the home. And they even tried to ask the FedEx guy to take them to the shop, because a FedEx guy dropped by with a package and was like, can you just bring us to this internet cafe? And the FedEx guy was like, nah, I can't do it. So it's like, it's an unfortunate set of circumstances, but I don't think it's fair to put all the blame onto TO in this case. And to be fair, when it comes to that issue with the West Europe DPC, there's some consistency issues there that I think people have recognized. If you look at Twitter, if you look at some people talking about that, past instances of COVID, teams had to play with a stand-in. So, I'm not sure about that, but yeah, for the Boom side, at the least I can say is they've been trying for a lot of time. There was a lot of time given to Boom, and they knew well in advance that they had power issues. So make use of that info as you will, but they had ample time to maybe ask, and by the time I think it crossed their mind that they may not be able to make it, it was a bit too late to ask for that postponement, because we were already into penalty time. So I think it's a mix of factors for Boom, and for the NGX one, it's a bit funny, because again, previous times players had sickness in their boot camps, teams were forced to play with stand-ins. So that's another thing with consistency. It's a little bit up and down in that one. I have no clue what's going on with the rulings there, but we had a little bit of a talk about how the NA DPC Open qualifiers were run, Mike. It is a bit up and down over there.
Certainly is, Jonathan. Going back, I'll start with the Boom topic. John, what John said is obviously correct. John, they were given plenty of notice, and if you ask Gary and if you ask anyone at Boom, they won't try to blame anyone from the studio. They'll accept the fact that they may have messed up, they may have had more time than they would have thought, and things happen, right? Like it's one of those situations. Electricity goes out. It's one of those events where you can't control it. Sure, maybe you could have had a car ready to go in terms of in case this happens, but who guesses the electricity is going to go out in the first debut series of Boom Esports in the DPC? It's something you don't expect to happen. I'm sure Gary's already kind of put measures in place to not allow that to happen again, or at least to allow himself to be able to get his players to an internet cafe and become the shop boys, as we like to say, if they need to. But it is what it is. I don't like it, John. I mean, you and I, we're both big Boom Esports fans. I don't like it either. I hate the fact that they've dropped a series from something that was kind of out of their control, and it feels like, maybe there wasn't as much leeway given as, say, Nigma Galaxy, or rather Nigma, in EU, or whoever the hell it was. Like, it is a bit confusing. And going to the real point of all this, which is the fact that it seems like there's a disparity in the rulings in Europe at the very least. I do agree with you. I mean, NA had some rulings happen with the open qualifiers. People didn't like that. And then you've got, teams in EU that just kind of, whatever, we'll reschedule the game. You're sick, that's fine. You don't have to pull in a stand-in. You can just play as is, later on. Be that as it will, I don't know if it's right or wrong, because we don't know what was said in the backside, right? We don't know if they informed them, say 3 days earlier, hey, one of our players is sick, can we reschedule? Yeah, it's a difference, right? Because Boom Esports, again, they had more time than people think they had, right? And again, Boom Esports hasn't denied that. Boom Esports they've accepted that they could have done a little bit better than they did. right? And we don't know what happened in EU. So I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to accuse bias right now. I don't want to say there's favoritism going on for regions, for the bigger teams in EU. But I can also understand why people make that comparison and say, well, hold on a minute. Boom Esports doesn't get that reschedule, but then in a different region, which is predominantly a very wealthy region and one of the biggest regions with one of the biggest teams, it does make you start to think, is there a bit of favoritism? Do they, obviously the TOs, if you are a TO, you don't want a team like Nigma not playing. That's a lot of viewership you're not bringing in if you were to force them to forfeit. So if logistically standing, if a team like Nigma just can't play, then it's not good for the TO. That's a lot of viewers that aren't watching. That's a lot of money going down the toilet. So I can appreciate why you would reschedule. Again, does it kind of leave a sour taste in your mouth knowing that a team like Boom didn't get the same treatment? Sure, absolutely, I get it. But is that the TO's fault? Probably not, because BTS is doing their job, right? They're enforcing the rules as they should. And it seems like the TO in charge of Europe is also enforcing the rules as they see fit. So whose fault really is it? It might be the rulebook, John. Perhaps the rulebook needs to be more clear in these instances as to what's to happen. And if rules aren't followed, perhaps that they should be enforced more by the leading body, which is essentially Valve. So, do you agree with me there, John? Am I being a bit too ridiculous about this?
I personally feel like it's the interpretation of the TOs that are a bit strange. I feel like BTS, when it comes across, BTS is much more by the book. Yeah, if the book says this, that's right. And to be fair to Boom, it was a very localized storm. It's not like the entirety of Pampanga was flooded. It was just a very strong set of rain in the specific area of their boot camp. So it wasn't really an inclement weather phenomena that affected a large amount of people. Like, say, the last time BTS postponed an entire day of Pro Series in the start of 2020 was because of a typhoon. We had to push an entire set of games out to the next week. We rescheduled, shifted around a few of our matches to accommodate. And that we had 1 day of lead time, 2 days of lead time for everyone to kind of get that done. In this case, again, when it comes down to it, this was very localized. If Boom wanted to ask for a postponement, I believe they had the option. From the chat logs I've read, from first-hand experience, perspectives, from what I've talked about, from people I've talked to, it doesn't seem like that was raised up. Now, maybe you could fault, maybe there's some fault to BTS for not offering that. At the same time, I don't think it was supposed to be them to, take the initiative to ask, because they have to follow the rules. And if Boom says they think they can make it, then you take them at their word. So I think that it was a bit of a miscommunication issue, perhaps, and just unfortunate that you have this circumstance come out again. So what I'd like is consistency across all the TOs. The issue is, it's not like all the TOs talk to each other. They all run their own region. They all focus in on their own DPC league. And that leads to these different sets of rulings, which seems unfair. But again, it's down to the TO, and that says more about, say, certain TOs than it does others. So it is what it is. Yeah. Because look at, you're saying, we don't get Nigma, we're not going to get viewership. Boom is the largest viewership in Southeast Asia. And that was a pretty hype max up against our own NGXC. So BTS lost out on a lot of viewers that night because a lot of people wanted to see that. And I think that just shows you that how much these rules matter. The rules are there for a reason, as Nina and Dougie, our best admins, number 1 and number 2 respectively, would say, the rule book is there for a reason. You can't keep bending it, because what's it going to be there for if everyone's going to push to bend the rules, right? So I do get the BTS, and I mean, it doesn't mean you have to be happy Boom got 2-0-2'd, but it happens sometimes. And for Boom, I guess, in my view, this is just a handicap. Someone told Gary that this is punishment for them having that free ticket to Div 1. Now they've got to play with a handicap this tour, and Div 1's it feels like it's going to be surprisingly competitive this tour.
Look, I think you made a very good point as well, John, that I didn't really even consider, is BTS would have lost quite a bit of viewership from that game. I mean, Boom Esports versus NGX SCA. I mean, that's a big match. People wanted to see that match. Viewership wise, I could have easily seen 50k plus, right? Which for SCA, that's a decent number, right? Like that's a nice number to have. So you're talking maybe 50, 60, even upwards towards the upper echelon, right? That's a lot of viewership that the sponsors would have liked. That's a lot of viewership the ad revenue would have liked, right? And yeah, at the end of the day, they sacrificed that because they followed the rules. I know people like to go straight for their head, right? You blame the studio, you blame the organizer. I don't think that's right, because again, BTS had more to lose not running that game, right? They had more to lose not running that series than putting their foot down and saying, sorry, we've got to enforce the rules. And by the way, for anyone that's about to say, well, of course you're going to defend BTS because you cast for them and you're employed, but we're not employed by BTS. We're contracted towards BTS. We are freelancers. So while we do work a lot with BTS, I like to think John and I are quite fair when it comes to our opinions and judgment. We're not going to sugarcoat anything because we work with them a lot, right? If we think BTS has done something wrong, not only will I approach them and tell them I think what you've done is wrong, but I'll publicly say it without fear. So I assure you, if they had fucked up, I'd tell you, truthfully, right now. But I don't believe they have. I believe they've followed the rule book. Again, if you want to compare to EU and how the other organizers handle it, that's fair enough. That is fair enough. But that goes back to the same point johnxmike just made. The problem is that all the TOs aren't on the same page when it comes to enforcing the rules and following the rule book. And that's a different story entirely. And quite frankly, John, how do you even get every TO how do you get them to be on the same page? It's kind of hard, right? Like different time zones, different organizers. We know how bad the communication is in the talent scene and the TO scene. It is very bad, let me tell you, right? It's not easy to communicate non-stop with each other with these crazy time zones going on. So I wonder, how do you even get to a point where everything's enforced nicely, John?
I think it goes back to what you said. Some of it goes back to Valve, like maybe having clear rulings on certain things happening, so consistency is applied across the DPC leagues. I don't think the pressure is on the TOs to talk to each other. I think this is more of like how much is Valve willing to clearly define and treat every region equally through their TOs. So it feels like this is like a thing where Valve has to tell every TO, look, you have to follow the rules consistently. If this happens to one team, you have to make sure this happens to another team who has the same circumstances. The same amount of leeway is given out. And that's completely on, as you said, our sort of like our governing body, which is Valve. So whether or not Valve does that, it's a different question. They're a very busy bunch of folk. Only so many people are working on Dota, as we know. It's kind of up and down with the team size. So I don't really expect that to happen, but I would love for that conversation to at least pop up by the time TI rolls around, because we know when TI is there, Valve does get feedback and talk to a lot of people in terms of setting up for the next season. So I would love to be able to see that consistency by the next season. By the next tour, I don't really expect that to change yet, Mike.
Yeah, certainly not. And for the Boom Esports fans out there, and again, John and I, while we're not biased when we cast the games or whatever, we're big fans of all these teams. Nobody wants to see any team have to forfeit. Trust me, if there's anyone that doesn't want to see Boom Esports forfeiting in that scenario, it's John and I, right? But what can you do? Rules are rules. Shit happens. Quite frankly, Boom Esports are a good enough team to get to the major anyway, even in these circumstances. They really are. I mean, they just came out of that previous tournament, the Galaxy Race tournament, and just won the whole thing. If they're good enough, they'll do it again, whether they're handicapped or not. This is how good this team is. And I said this last podcast, John, but out of all the SEA teams in the history of Dota, I'm looking at Boom Esports, and I'm thinking they might be the GOATs of SEA Dota. In terms of a team being formed, this might be the one. This might be the one that finally takes us to a TI win, right? So as far as I'm concerned, it might even be great that they got 0-2'd by forfeit. Because again, it adds to the story. It makes the story so much better. Like, look at this team. How great are they? Even with such a bad start, they still made it to that damn major. And you know what, John? as I always say, if they make it, they're going to win the whole thing. We know Boom, they're too good. They're too damn good. Of course they're going to win the whole thing, right? If they're good enough, they'll make it. And all these unfortunate events that have happened, it just adds to the story. You can't have greatness without suffering, right? And right now, Boom Esports, they've had a bit of a suffering kind of moment for their debut. We'll see if they can make it. It's a tough division. It's a tough DPC for SCA. But if there's one team that's going to fucking do it, John, it's probably Boom Esports.
Yep, definitely the front runners. I just worry about the handicap sometimes, Mike, because, you know, you only have one round of best of 3. So if something wild happens, that could just change the order of the top 3 entirely.
Yeah.
That's the big concern. I mean, Boom did have a great run last time, so I expect them to have that same great run here. But there's potential now for, say, sort of tiebreakers for number 1, especially if, say, Polaris if Polaris only drops to Boom today, and then they win the rest. So you're going to have an extra tiebreaker for the number 1, number 2 slot in those majors, going into the groups or the wild cards, and that can... The playoffs or groups, playoffs and groups, and that can make it wilder. I mean, you know, it can shake up the order. So this will have repercussions, but if Boom is good enough, maybe it won't. You know, it's just that, again, we only play so many games in DPC, which is back to the format a bit where we ranted, Mike. The format just makes it so that every single series counts. At the same time, that tension is spread out over 6 weeks. So you don't necessarily feel the importance of every match until that last week, but this is a pretty big plus for, I'm sure, NGX, and for a lot of teams looking to put Boom down without a handicap. I'm sure a lot of them are saying, all right, it's much more possible now for us to hit top 3 because only one other team needs to beat Boom, and suddenly it's really wide open.
Absolutely. I really can't wait. I mean, it's a very, very exciting time. And we'll talk about the format again in just a moment, right? Because you've got me started again, John. You've got my blood pumping. So we'll get to that in a moment. But how stacked is Division 1 this season? I mean, my God, 2-2 Division 1 of SCA. And somebody brought this up to me because I was in the BTS, the Twitch chat just earlier on before we went live for the podcast. They were asking me, T1 against NGX, who do you think wins? I said T1, but it's going to be a close match, right? I can't say NGXC loses that match confidently, right? I think it could go either way. But more importantly, John, Boom versus Polaris. Now, that's a damn match if I've ever seen one. I mean, Polaris have been on fire recently. Currently top of the whole group standings at 2-0, undefeated in 2-2 so far. And they're going to go against the best team in SCA right now, being Boom Esports. I mean, first of all, what a division, but more importantly, John, what a fucking night of Dota we have ahead of us. I mean, tonight's going to be lit. You and I, we're fortunate enough to be the casters tonight as well.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to that. Like, Boom versus Polaris is just sick. It's probably my most hyped match for this tour. I mean, probably I'd rate it more hype than Boom versus T1, just because I think Polaris is a very scary opponent. These guys are on top, and I love seeing this stack do well. You know, like we always talk about it all the way back to Adroit days in 2019, 2018. These guys have been together on and off for so long. It's just great to see them rise up, and of course they represent almost like my region. So like Visayas and Mindanao, we're known as Bisaya people for some reason, even Mindanao. So I can say that they represent my people, and it's great to see us Bisaya people doing well. This is going to be a great fight. It's not quite a Rambulan, to be fair. You know, you've got Jackie FEC. It's not a pure-blooded Rambulan, but it's close enough, Mike. I'll let it go. And it should be a fun one. I'm keen to see, because you know what happens with Boom when something like that 0-2 happens? They get really angry and they get really pumped up, right? Like they get super pumped. And I'm keen to see how a very pumped up Boom does against Polaris, because Polaris is also that kind of team where they're feeling it. And I'm looking forward to the all chat too if anything comes out, because you know the Polaris guys, they're always noisy with other Filipino players. They're always all over the place with memes on Facebook. They're obviously close with Zach, with Lane, because he's also from Cebu. So there's already some back and forth there, and I'm just keen to see what happens in game, because they love talking to those guys.
It's what John just said. Boom's going to be angry going into this series, and that's what makes it really fun. Right? They know how strong Polaris is tonight, right? Polaris has been very, very strong over the past couple weeks, but you've got an angry Boom Esports. I mean, they've got something to prove now backs against the wall. They understand how important every series is. And quite frankly, John, you go through the team list. I mean, I know how stacked SCA Division 1 is, but my God, I mean, this is a hype match. And if you asked me before we even started Tour 2, I would have said Polaris Esports, they might be a front runner to take Boom Esports out in one of these series. You know, out of all the teams, if you asked me, I would have said T1, and I probably would have said Polaris Esports, right? I can't wait. It's going to be such a great night for Dota 2 and for SCA. And no matter who wins, what the fuck do I care, John? I want the best team to win, right? That's what breeds even better performances from these teams. Is that anger from losing and the anger of knowing that somebody's taken your number one spot, being Polaris Esports right now. So it's going to be a very, very fun match. If I may, though, Jonathan, again, you did get my blood pumping a little bit earlier on. This DPC format, we talked about it earlier on in an earlier episode. This is the problem. I mean, every match matters too much. Like, there's too much emphasis on every single match, which I appreciate. That inherently should mean there's more hype for every match. The problem being, there's too much delay between every match and every team only plays with each other once. So let's say NGX versus Boom, which ended up in a forfeit. What if you had a second series with NGX against Boom, and then you could, imagine how hyped that would have been. Everyone would have tuned in. Can NGX beat them without getting the forfeit win? But we don't get that, Jonathan, because they only play with each other once, and that's it. It's all over. Over 6 weeks, there's so little games. Oh, it's so disappointing. It's so damn disappointing. And it favors nobody. I remember NoTail, I read a quote from NoTail yesterday, just before today when we went live. NoTail said this DPC format really hurts the players and teams as well. Because at the end of the day, you think they're enjoying the break time, but the problem is over that week or two that they're not playing, the meta might change completely. And the meta changes, which inherently puts stress on the players, because they're like, well, hold on, we don't have any games to practice in. Sure, we can scrim, but it's not the same thing, and everyone knows it, right? You need those games to practice the new meta, and meta does evolve very quickly, especially when you've got a new patch as we do right now. This DPC format, the only people it favors, I don't even know who it favors, John, because TOs don't like it, casters don't like it, players don't like it, right? Everyone wants more games, and that's about it. Just add more games, shorten the DPC, allow more third-party tournaments. Yep. I still respect Valve for trying something like this. Don't get me wrong. I know it's been a tough time for Valve. I know there's been a pandemic. I know there's been a war. It's a fucking hard time for Valve to come up with a good format. I'm going to give them that, John. But at the end of the day, this format is not good. It's not that it's not good, it's just not good enough. Right? Because Dota 2 is such a great game. It deserves better than this.
Yeah, that it does. I think, like, again, when we first talked about this, right before, one of our first episodes, I think, the right time for this to have changed was before Tour 1. Right after TI. That's when the entire replan of the DPC should have happened. I think we were all surprised to see that it was the same format. And I don't expect this to change until after TI, because we never do mid-tour changes. Yeah. That's just how Valve operates with the leagues and the seasons. So we're not going to get that change until post-TI, if we do get it. And I think for the DPC, again, overall it's a net benefit. It's just, as you said, Mike, it's too long. I would like to see it cut from 6 weeks to 3 weeks with the same format. That's fine. Right? Like, you half the number of weeks, you compress the games, it's still just one round robin best of threes, but it's much shorter. You could do that. Another way would be best of 2 double round robin, which would give you that hype aspect of playing again, seeing if they can do it without the disconnects. It allows 1-1s to have some impact, so, not a complete lost series, because it is just best of 2s, does give you a score, and it does kind of improve your standing a bit. It can cause all sorts of back and forths when you do a best of 2 round robin, as we see with, say, Pro Series, and some for online tournaments. So I'd love to see that shake up. Whether or not Valve does it, again, we're going to find out in like half a year. It's going to be a while until after TI. So we're not going to see that until after TI. And that's just one of the downsides of this format. One of the downsides of how Valve moves is that they do take their time. So it's going to be a while. It is pretty bad. I mean, we all kind of knew this format was not great since DPC Season 1 last year. You know, we already had our words in our heads saying these are way too few matches. This is way too long for what it is. There's nothing in between because there's so little downtime. Like, what do we have? 2 weeks between DPC and Major, right? Like, that's barely enough time to get a proper Pro Series off. And every time we do, we just feel dead as well because Pro Series suddenly becomes super compressed because of that time time constraint. So, yeah, the DPC definitely needs to change. I think if Valve weren't considering changing it after the first year of DPC, certainly after this year, they've got to make something else happen. They've got to restructure to allow third parties to breed more, because after seeing the success of the Gamers Galaxy Dubai, I'm sure a lot of people will want more of that. A lot of people will want more lands to see international teams outside of the majors for the lesser prize pool by third-party organizers, because you just want to see all your favorite teams playing Dota on LAN. You just want to see these guys prove themselves on location without delay. International Dota has to shine outside of just having it 4 times a year, 3 majors plus TI. That's basically it. That's all the international Dota we have. 4 times a year. Not enough.
Yeah. No, certainly not. John, do you mind if I take a second to disconnect and reconnect? I'm having some so what the things I'm seeing, the what I'm seeing that you're feeding to me is kind of delayed right now, so it makes it a little bit awkward for me because I can't see what we're doing live. So do you mind if I quickly just reconnect?
Sure. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Hold on 1 second. 1 second. All right, John.
All right, give me a
Never
second.
mind.
Let me fix up
It's
your
still
cam.
messed up, but
Fade you in.
yeah, sorry
There you
about
are.
that, John.
No. Let me
That
try
didn't
resetting
fix it.
my virtual camera. Actually, it could be.
Yeah, apologies to the viewers, by the way. These things happen sometimes, and you know, I don't mean to try and sort it out while we're live, but you know, if we're gonna continue on for the next hour, I'd rather we have everything working properly, so we can actually have provide a good product. We don't want to half-ass anything here.
Yep. All right. There you go. Is Nat feeding out without delay, or is it still lagging out?
Hey, look, it's lagging. I don't think you can fix it. I don't think I can fix it. It's just server issues. Whatever. Let's just leave it behind. I'll work with it. Still, John. Moving on. How's everything else been? I mean, we agree the format's been kind of meh. Obviously, there's been a drama. What else has been going on in your life? Anything special happened? Any topics that have been kind of on your mind recently?
Look, there's one topic that comes into mind as well. People have been talking about this. People have been tagging us, but we saw the ESL major talent announcement for the majors, and yes. I think we've got to talk about this. So, off the bat, from my end, and I'm sure you agree with this, Mike. Let's get this straight. Me and Mike didn't expect to be invited this time around. We just know that knowing the not hiring process, but more of knowing the pattern of certain TOs, you know what's likely to be the talent. And I think when we found out it would be ESL, we kind of assumed it's in Europe. They have already got their studio talent, so likelihood is it's going to be the studio talent. And there's no problem with that. So me and Mike weren't caught off guard. I think we were kind of expecting that. I do want to say that we appreciate your support for sure. Like, we appreciate the fact that you guys want this there. I don't know what to say though. Like, I feel like there's a certain extent where the enthusiasm has to kind of be kept in a positive way. You know, you don't want them, as we've seen before, you don't want to start dissing on other talent. It's not their fault. You could try calling out the TOs, but you have to remember, if you're cheering for us and calling out TOs, that can go against us as well. So it's it's a weird double edge where we appreciate the enthusiasm. Don't get too aggressive, I think, is all I want to say about that. I mean, it is disappointing for sure, Mike. You know, you and I have been looking to meet each other for the first time in like 5 years. I can't believe we still haven't met each other. I've met Fog ahead of you. I've met OD Pixel. I've met Shiver. I've met Kyle, all ahead of you. It's just, and I've met QO ahead of you. It's like, it's insane that we've been casting together for so long and we just haven't met. But hey, it is what it is. And yeah, I think from my end, we appreciate the support. Just, you know, keep it positive, guys. You know, no need to pull anyone else down. Just keep it clean, I guess, Mike. That's my end of that.
Well, here's the thing. I kind of agree with you, and I'm kind of half on this, right? Because I think when it comes to the viewers and the fans, they should speak out however they want, right? I don't think anyone can stop them. But I also don't want people bringing down the other talent, right? Because it's not. Look, at the end of the day, it's not the talent's fault that they got hired, right? And of course, they want to get hired. Why wouldn't they? It's their career, it's their dreams, it's their ambition. Of course, John and I have nothing against any other talent that get big events. They deserve, if they're there, probably deserve it. But what's the solution here, John? Right? Do you have to create more slots for talent? Is that what it is? Right? Because I believe they hired 14 people. If I counted correctly, there was 14 talent that were hired on that talent announcement. So 14 talent. And I think, if I remember correctly, Capitalist said he was still in talks with ESL about regarding negotiations. So it sounds like they're negotiating pay. So maybe 15, potentially 15. But right now, in terms of announced talent, it's 14. To me, it does seem maybe a little bit low when you consider the fact that it's a major, right? You only have 3 of these a year, and then you have TI. So you have so much talent in Dota. Right? So many people trying to follow their dreams, pursue their ambitions, whatever. A lot of them are already good enough to be on the stage, right? Or a lot of them are already good enough to be at that big major stage, in my opinion. But at the same time, you can't ignore the talent that are used to being on that big stage and are pretty good at it, quite frankly, right? So what's the answer? Should there be some kind of minimum number that TOs have to hire for these majors, right? Because to me, when you think of a major, again, which only happens 3 times a year, is it enough to only hire 14 people? To me, it seems a little bit low. That's what it looks like to me.
For sure. I mean, it is pretty low. It's I believe 3 casting pairs, and the rest are like panel and content. I feel like I don't feel like the right move is to force TOs to do that. At the same time, if you look at the Stockholm Major, how many days are with a live audience? I think we've only got 3 days with a live audience, so that's looking like just playoffs. And in that sense, it makes perfect sense that it's only 3 casting groups for 3 days of playoffs. I think that makes perfect sense. Before anything else, I just wanted to address the fact that God's in our chat. Hello, Parker. Thanks for dropping by. Hopefully we haven't said anything wrong yet, but yeah, like for this, I think, right, it's only 3 days for the actual audience, so that's 3 days of on-location broadcasts. I think there's potential that they have offsite casters. That's a possibility. At the same time, it also feels weird because you've got studio talent. You could just do like a studio broadcast once more. So I'm not sure, but whether or not it should be enforced from, say, Valve to have more talent, I feel like Valve can't do that. And why I say that is because Valve isn't covering production, right? So Valve covers the prize pool. They don't cover production costs. And as far as I know, I don't know much. So this is more than likely just conjecture from my part. But let's assume Valve doesn't cover production. I don't think that, especially because Valve doesn't cover the cost, I don't think Valve can then dictate to the TOs, you have to have this much talent, because the TOs will have to pay for it. And as we know, at least from my viewpoint, I know that most TOs struggle to go in the green, right? Like it's been the case for a long time. It's very hard for you to actually run esports at a pretty good profit. Most of the time you're happy with break even. So I don't think forcing TOs to get more talent is the way to go from Valve's end. What you can do is, as Mike said, you know, as viewers, as fans, you should feel free to express yourselves. Feel free to let these TOs know your concerns. But beyond that, I don't see anything like institutional that can be done to rectify that. And I honestly don't see it changing anytime soon, to be quite fair. I think for just, again, using this major as a sort of a case sample, you know, this is all talent that they've already had on studio, and they've added a couple they're negotiating with Cap. So in a way, it's already easy for them because they're already in Europe, near the location where they'll hold a major anyway. And I think if you consider that and the back end costs of running everything, I don't fault ESL for going this route. I think this is the easiest way to get that major done while being able to balance around production, balance around the fact that you're flying on all the teams, that you're renting out this gigantic stadium for 3 days. I am keen on seeing what differences we see on the PGL major. I was actually super surprised. I'm not sure if you were as well, Mike, but I was surprised PGL announced their own major very early. Like, we're still in Tour 2.
Did.
This is a Tour 3 major. I'm just so surprised that they were like, all right, let's just put it out there. We're doing it in Texas. And man, I don't know why. I was so excited for that one. Like, ESL, it's like, all right, it's in Stockholm. We're back in Europe. But for some reason, being back in America, that is pretty hype. It's been, what, 6 years since anything happened? Like a big major in America? I don't know. This seems fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And that was the thing. That's what excited me a lot as well, is they announced that it's going to be in Texas of all places. And I'm like, hold on a goddamn minute. You're telling me it's not going to be California, or it's not going to be like New York or something? We're going to Texas? All right, let's do it, baby. Let's go down to the south. You know what I mean? Let's get it done. And man, that's so exciting. I love it. I love it. I love the themes you could run with as well. Seems very fun. And it's just very different. Something very, very different. It's like you said, okay, we're going to Stockholm again. It's not bad. It's great, in fact. But Texas, I mean, that's just cool. That's just different. You get to see something different. And I think that's what Dota's always been about. It's the reason why places like the Manila Major was so good. It's Boston Major was so good, right? Like with the Boston Major. Who thought we'd be going to Boston for a major? But it was fantastic, wasn't it, Jonathan? I like the fact that TOs are going out of their way to go to different locations now and showing us different cultures, because NA is a pretty big place, somewhere like Texas is not going to be the same as somewhere like California, for example. It's very different, but it's good to be able to share that culture and be able to see what's going down. I like it. I'm very excited.
Yeah, my only concern is that it's a major in Texas in August. So that's like peak summer. So it's going to be like bloody hot. Like the attendees are just going to be melting. That's going to be interesting. If you thought Australia was hot, if I thought the Philippines was hot, I'm pretty sure August in Texas is pretty damn hot, Mike. So I'm keen on seeing how that'll be like.
Hold on, Jonathan. Mike? We have just got confirmation from the boss. And I quote, if BTS ever does a major, you guys are there, love heart. You better screenshot that right now, Jonathan. We've got to use it as blackmail later on if they forget. We've got to blackmail them, John. You screenshot that shit right now. We're bagging and tagging him. We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got the boss. Thank you very much, God. We appreciate that. We love you, Parker. Thank you for that. BTS bosses are excellent. Him and LD, they're fantastic. And shout out to LD. I never talk about that man, but he did go out of his way at one point to actually offer me a coaching session for casting, and even after that coaching session, which helped me improve quite a lot back then, by the way, at least in my eyes. He then wanted to do a follow-up session, which we haven't done yet, by the way, but that's entirely my fault because I haven't reached out to give him a date and a time. But shout out to the boys at BTS. We love you guys and girls, of course. Never forget the boys and girls. Still going back to the Texas Major, fantastic stuff, Jonathan. Fantastic stuff. Very, very excited. PGO, in my opinion, always does a great job when it comes to hosting big lands. People make jokes about production and things like that, but there's a reason why they're the ones that host TI for Valve, and I think they do a brilliant job. So I'm looking very forward to that. And of course, even if we aren't invited to the ESL Stockholm Major, I'm still very excited to see an SEA team win this major.
Oh yeah.
And I say that very confidently, by the way. We're winning. It's as simple as that.
The fun part is it's on EU home ground, so we're coming for you. We'll beat you guys in your home ground. We'll see. I mean, Boom just looks so good. And as you mentioned, Mike, circling back a bit, the next two teams look sick. Like, I'm expecting, this is my own personal take, but I'm expecting Boom and then T1 Polaris. I think that's the lineup I'd ideally want to see on the LAN. And I think that's the expectation to have. That's a very big caveat, though, because Fnatic can always clean up. We've seen the pictures. I've had the interviews with him on Media Day. Let me tell you, when we see those matchup videos coming up this week for Fnatic, it's hilarious. A bit of a spoiler. John Yuelt's sitting on his seat. It's the same high ground place where they're at. they have fun with it. Is all I'm gonna say, Mike. They have a lot of fun with John Yuel there, so it's good to see Fnatic finally together. Because I'm not sure when the last time Fnatic had a boot camp. If you think about pre-DPC during the pandemic, they were already not boot camping, right, Mike? So it's been like 2-3 years since we've seen Fnatic together. So who knows? Maybe this makes all the difference in the world for that lineup. So there's a caveat for Fnatic, SMG. Ninja Bogey's had that internet cafe buff. I mean, he's going to be in the team house, obviously, in SMG side soon. But when he was in that net cafe, man, was he playing great. You know, everyone talks about, oh, he has a lot of catching up to do. He still got it, man. This is like old Mineski coming up with 2 other players. You know, this is a team to watch out for. So who knows? I mean, I could confidently say Boom is going to be in that Stockholm major, and I think T1's likely to be there. Caveat, Polaris also likely to be there. Caveat, Fnatic and SMG. It's just such a big shakeup. I have no clue, but I do think the ideal for me would be Boom. Okay, March is going to kill me if he's watching, but Boom, Polaris, I'm going to change it. Boom, Polaris, SMG is what I'd like to see now. Because I think T1 needs the whip, Mike. Because they don't have QO1, they don't have March in the team house. And you see the difference. You see the difference. They need to be there. They need to be staring down like it's a Squid Game thing where they'll just stab you if you do something wrong. They need that pressure, Mike. And our Korean boys aren't there. So I know, Mike. I know.
Yeah. By the way, considering you were just spoiling things, if Parker is still here, Mr. Gods, we're going to be sending you something special not very soon, maybe in the second half of the Tour 2 of DPC. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but we've got a bit of content on the way, Mr. Parker, so keep your eyes peeled, sir. Hopefully we'll get that out, maybe in the next few weeks we'll start working on it, and should be a bit of fun getting ourselves involved in the DPC. Even if we're not there, we're gonna make some content from home. We always do that kind of crap, John. Even if it is cringy as hell, we're still gonna do it. So Parker, if you're out there, sir, keep your eyes peeled. We're coming. Still, going back to how great is SMG, John? Huh? They sent me that damn jersey. They sent me the support pack. They got the buff, John. They've got the MLP buff now. SMG, they must be going to a major, right? And if they are, I got their back. SMG, if anyone from SMG is listening, I got your back. johnxmike, he's been getting too much from these teams recently. He gets jerseys, he gets invited to dinner, they talk to him in the lobby, they don't even recognize who I am. Tim's didn't even know who I was, even though he followed me on Twitter, But SMG, my saviors, they come in, they send me a jersey, they send me a keychain, some more stuff as well. It was fantastic. Thank you, SMG. Can't wait to put my jersey on when the SMG boys are playing, and I won't be casting if I won't be wearing it if I'm casting, but you get my point. We got the boys buff, or we got the boys back at SMG.
Oh yeah, still moving under gunfire there, Mike. Huh? You've got the hashtag behind you now. Love to see it. You know what you could have done? You could have posed with like I don't know, a toy SMG to make it even spicier. Look like you're acting like you're in Siege or something.
John, trust me, John, that content idea I talked about, trust me, I've got some crazy stuff. I haven't told you yet. I haven't told you all of it yet, but I've been thinking a lot. Trust me, I've got some good ideas.
All right.
Moving on though, John.
Yep.
Moving on. While we're here, John, again, you've been with Talon for a while.
Yeah.
I love trying to get you to mess up. How's Talon been treating you for the second week?
They've been treating me well. We went through some content plans that I can't reveal, but we've got content lined up. So you can expect my face to show up. You can expect Sophie's face to show up. And we're planning to do some stuff with all the guys. So it should be good. They've also made me think about... See, this is where I feel weird, because, it's a two-way thing where they're like, all right, think of content for us and think of content for yourself that we can help you with. And I was like, Because on my end, when you make me do something, when I sign something, I always think about the other party more than myself, just because I feel like I don't want to mess up. As you said, you like to make me mess up. I try to do my best to make the other party happy. Like when we have sponsor callouts, I try my absolute best to make sure the sponsors get the proper callout as nice as they'd like Mate, I try to make sure I've got a nice can. Before I used to have it sit in my bed right here, stuff like that. So the challenging part was when they asked me, all right, what content do you want? I was like, I don't know. Like I did say, and this is something to look forward to for everyone when we do get our interview series off. We'll have the full VOD and we'll have something a little bit more condensed, edited down. Thanks to Talon. So we will have that done. And I've got a couple more content ideas they want me to work on for myself. I'm like, sure, I can't really think too well. I'm kind of stupid, but I'll give it a shot. So yeah, it's been good, Mike. It's been good. What I would like to say is that I believe Talon just got their jerseys, and I've heard some feedback from everyone about those jerseys. I'm keen on seeing it myself, and I think this should mean the next time we do have a Talon match, they should have pictures that are actually Talon, not the throwback picture of, Boom Mikoto, Boom Hyde, SMG KP, and just feeling heartbroken seeing those old teams. I think they should have their pictures done by next week. So that's something to look forward to. It's a good time. Talon treats me well, Mike. I feel like I just scammed an org, to be honest with you. It's like, I don't think I offer anything, guys. I will say yes. I'm happy you guys reached out. I just feel like I might have scammed you, so I'm hoping not, and I'm gonna try to work to make it
John
not
X
be that way.
scammers. John X scammers. Oh, you love to see it, John. Well, at least you're an honest man. You admit it to them. That's nice. And if you need content ideas, John, you know me. I'm a real sicko. You could always come to me. I always said to you, one day, hopefully sometime this year, we're going to go to the Philippines. We'll go to the Talon house. We'll borrow some cameras. We'll hopefully have some producer or whatever, and we'll make some content. We'll do some stupid stuff, and we'll get Talon. And by the way, I mean, if they're going to be, we may as well talk about this live right now, even though we probably shouldn't. If they're going to be, editing the interview series we want to do, then hell, we may as well slap their logo somewhere in the interview series, should we not?
Oh yeah,
they're doing us a favor.
They said they just sneak something up like the end or start that says it was edited down by the Talon Media Group, and it's like,
okay, good.
It's perfectly fine. That's good. It's all good. Yeah. Get Talon out there. I mean, honestly, I feel like it's like just the fact that some of the content I've planned is just playing with them, so I get to I have an excuse to play with Zio again. I have an excuse to make fun around with Mikoto. Maybe I get to drag Randy in for some reason. I love causing trouble. I love reeling Dreamocell in to every aspect I can because he's a fun guy. So that would be fun. Like, I think I'm looking forward to that. The funny thing is, I think one condition we all set out is that we're probably not playing Dota. Because, I can't play with him on our main account. Smurfing's illegal, Mike. We don't want to do anything illegal, so we'll be playing Apex or something. And that's going to be terrible for me, but, Zio loves that game. Hyde loves that game. I believe Savage. I believe all of them actually love Apex. So, hey, it's better than playing Valorant, Mike.
Oh, I suppose it is. I suppose it is, John. All right, fair enough. Moving on, Jonathan. You haven't asked me, so I'm going to bring it up. In fact, I'll ask you. How did it feel having to take the backseat and watching me cast with somebody else for once, huh?
It felt funny, Mike. It rarely happens. Every now and again, you do get to do it. So I was just sitting there watching. I was taking notes on your chemistry. I noticed something, Mike. You were much more fond of complimenting Arthur. I did notice every time he got something right. You'd be like, hey, Arthur, it's such a great job, Arthur. And I do know Arthur's in chat. You did a fantastic job, friend, in your debut. And Mike, you compliment him a lot. Why don't I get that same treatment? You're like, oh, calm down, John. You got one right. Oh, John, it's your job. I did notice that.
Well, here's the thing, John. Here's why Arthur was receiving so many compliments. Because of the way I see it, he's newer to the talent scene. Mm-hmm. And you know from working with me, right? I have a very particular casting style that I don't think fits many analysts' style. I don't think many people know how to go with me when it comes to play-by-play. In fact, the only people that I think have done well is you, number one, obviously. And then you've got, I cast with Parker a couple times, but we did Convictus on a LAN. That was pretty good. And then I'm talking the upper echelon, right? Like who really works well with me. And it's a very small list. And what I'm trying to say is Arthur, I don't know how he did it, but he adjusted very quickly. And that was impressive to me, right? Because this guy's adjusted very fast with a play-by-play that, quite frankly, is a bit of a dumbass, right? Which I am, John. I'm a bit of a dickhead, right? So he adjusted very quickly, and I was impressed with that. I was like, well, hold on a minute. This guy has adjusted very quickly. He's predicting everything right. His analysis is very top tier. He said nothing about circles, which made me very happy, John. And, it went well. So, excuse me, John, I can compliment people. Quite frankly, right? How many years did I have to go with introducing us and asking you how you're doing, and you never once asked me back how I was doing? So you can keep your damn mouth shut, Jonathan. You can keep your damn mouth shut.
That's a fair point, Mike. That's a fair point. I have no further comments on our dynamic anymore. I'm gonna stop asking you now as well, so you can take that away. But yeah, it was a good watch. It was fun watching that, Mike. I had a great time. I was pretty tired after media day, so just to clarify for people why I don't do Mondays, it's because I am doing media day. So if there is a game set for me and Mike, what they've done now is just hand it off to Mike plus Leon Arthur for that time. I'm not sure if there are any other times like that, but yeah, if there is something on Mondays, that does get shifted for the DPC. So I won't be around on Mondays. You could say it's your cheating Mondays, Mike. You're meddling Mondays for you. Yeah. So that's
cheating
what
Mondays.
It is. Yep.
Just unloyal Mondays, yeah. And for anyone watching out there, just so you're all... Listen, John and I are going nowhere, right? John and I made a pact when we first started, no matter what, and you'll remember this, John. I said to you, because you were a paranoid piece of shit back then. You can be honest about this. I told you I would never, ever quit this duo. You and I, we're either going to make it together or we're failing together. It's either way. And how long behold, we're still here, John. You and I, we're, 5-6 years strong now. We're a married couple, so... For any viewers out there that get upset when John's not around and I have to cast it, so he's always gonna be with me. We're not getting divorced. He's my partner for life when it comes to Dota. And if we fail, by all means, we're failing together. We're going down like the Titanic, John. Except both of us are dying, not just Rose getting away on the damn door, right? They could have both fit on that damn door, Rose. Right? You could have let Jack on.
Oh man. I don't even remember Titanic, Mike. I don't know, I'm so bad with movie references. I just know the ship went into two and they were standing at the front of the ship for some reason. It's whatever. But yeah, we are sinking on that ship together, Mike, all the way back. I remember some of those early conversations as well, because we were realistically talking about the possibility of say you getting big. Because let's face it, as an analyst, making it big is pretty tough. Because if you're not high ranked, if you're not an ex-pro, it's actually a pretty tough angle to go into broadcast. So we were kind of preparing for that. You were like, oh, you know what, John? If you don't make it, we'll find something on production for you. Because at that time, I was also doing a lot of our animated assets when tournaments would give us what was it? Static stuff. We'd spice it up a bit. So I was like, yeah. And I'm surprised that we've held on for this long. It's a long time. If you think about 6 years or 5 years, half a decade, I can't fathom that. Whenever we put a number on it, I just can't process it. It's so much time, and it just doesn't feel like it, Mike. It's maddening.
But can you remember what I used to say to you back then? Back when we did first start, and again, you were kind of like, man, is this gonna work out? You were at uni at the time, so it was a very confusing time for you. And you're a bit younger than me. I mean, you're a couple years younger than I am. So understandably, it was a confusing time for you. You didn't know whether it was worth taking the risk and all that crap. And you knew my ambitions back then. My ambition wasn't to become a Dota caster. It was to become the #1 Dota caster, right? Now, I think you were sitting there and you were saying, I don't know if I can keep up with that. Right, but I told you, John, at the end of the day, the one thing, my pet peeve when it comes to casters is leaving their analyst or leaving their play-by-play behind and going on to make lands and whatever. What satisfaction can you get out of that? If you were there with somebody at the start who had your back, and John did a lot of things for me. You made all the assets. You taught me how to use OBS. You used to make memes for me. You taught me how to use social media properly. John did a hell of a lot, ladies. Let me tell you, he did a lot. He doesn't talk about it, but he was one of the only guys that ever believed in me. Him and Clement, Stinky Pie, back then when I was in a very difficult position, right? I was broke. I had family issues. I was scared because, again, I'm a Middle Eastern appearing guy with an accent that's not purely Australian. So when somebody overseas that you hardly know says to you, Mike, you've got what it takes, you're going to be able to do it, how can I forget that? How could I possibly leave you behind after that? Even if I was somehow better. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's if you're going to go with someone, go all the way, right? Even if it means you're going to fall and you're going to fail and you're going to have to move on with life, fuck it, right? You've got to do it the proper way. Mark my words, ladies and gentlemen. Fucking, it doesn't matter what happens, John X Fire will always be here, no matter what. I would rather fail and go work a 9-to-5 job and be miserable than be one of those people that leaves him behind. And I'm being dead serious, John. You know this. You know this. I would never.
What a sweet thing to say, Mike. Every time you do this, I just don't know how to react to such love. I don't know what to say, but thank you. You know, as you have once said to Jahao, I love you. You said I love you back. I love that. In that interview, that's quite. It was an instant snap reaction as well. But thank you, Mike. You know, I appreciate that all the way. I can't believe again that we've lasted this long, but who knows? We'll last even longer. Hopefully, and that's the goal anyway.
Yeah.
And if Dota dies, we'll still be here. So we'll see, Mike. But yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
One of our boys is here in the chat, by the way, John. Now that we're getting all gooey and sentimental, Avo Plus is in the chat. And hell, while I'm handing out compliments, if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, my first ever paid gig was thanks to Mr. Avo Plus. Back when I was very, very new, I remember your name was Darklight Caster. You've had about 2,000 names by this point, Avo. I think you've got to get it together, sir. But his name was Darklight Caster back in the day, I believe it was. And I remember one day he messaged me and said, hey, I think you're really good. Do you want to work for, what was it? It was, I think it was called the Pro Dota League or something.
Yeah,
it was a very generic, right? And he came up to me and said, hey, do you want to work? And this is my first ever paid gig. And I was so nervous. And I said to him, I remember saying to him, why did you pick me? And he said, because I think you're really good and I don't think it's fair that shitty casters get hired over good casters. I remember you said something like that and I was like, that's my boy. See, me and him, we've got that same mentality, right? You hire the best. You hire who you believe is good enough to do it, not just whoever, whatever, you know, whoever you know. So shout out to Avo Plus. I don't know if I'd be here without him, quite frankly. That was my first paid gig. That was my first ever paid gig. I remember it was fucking terrible. And I remember me and him having this conversation talking about how bad the pay was. But I'll never forget it. And I used to say to him all the time, me and you, being me and Avo, we're going to make it to TI together. One day, him and me, we're going to make it together. Long behold, he's a talented man, John. He had to go before me. And I was just so happy to see it. When they announced Avo Plus at TI 10, I was so fucking happy. I was on the verge. I was so happy. And John, you can kind of back me up here because I was telling you how happy I was about it.
Oh yeah, like Mike was overjoyed. We were all happy because, you know, I mean, we all have great history with Avo and Richie because we all go back to Echo League almost, right? Like I believe Avo was there in some capacity for a while. Richie was very active on Echo League as Seek and Strike. It's just insane to see people that, you know, you started casting with as well from that same pool do so well. I mean, obviously we've had Moxie up there for a while, but seeing everyone else start to climb up, you know, Nomad was in Echo League for a while, and he's been doing DPC on and off as well. He's been on a major. You know, it's great to see everyone, and when Avo got to TI, it's like, there it is. There's the start of something new. So it's great to see, and I'm hoping that what Mike said comes true, that me and Mike will be there, you, Avo, and Richie will be there as well, and we'll all have a little reunion.
Absolutely.
We'll have a little Echo League reminiscing on some of those old NA games we used to cover or C games we used to cover, because those are some days. But hopefully we reach that point in the journey together. I would love to see it. Just have a little party at TI for all of us C boys.
Do you mind if we have story time for a moment here, John?
Sure.
And I'm sure Avo, I don't know if Avo's going to mind me telling this story, but I want to tell the story because I find it quite funny. It's so what happened is he gets invited to TI 10, right? And he's got the really hard job of doing losers interviews, right? We all remember the losers interviews. Avo had to do that, right? And here's my thing. I had I saw him doing the interviews. There was a lot of people going off on Reddit and Twitter and all that crap, and trying to kind of get. And keep in mind, this is his first big gig, right? This is Ti. The guy's doing the hardest job in the room, right? So I'm sitting there like, I got to go help my boy out. So I start messaging Avo on Discord, and I start telling him, Avo, come on, you got what it takes, son. You know what to do. You're the best at this job, I'm full trying to hype him up, motivate him up, this and that, I'm under the impression that they've given him this job, right? I didn't know he was the one that put his damn hand up for it. I thought they forced him to have this job, right? So I'm sitting there the whole time. I'm sitting there going, there's a reason why they gave you this job, Avo. All the other casters are shit. They wouldn't be able to do it like you can do it, Avo. You're the best, Avo. This and that. And this whole time, this poor guy's probably sitting there. Not willing to tell me that he's the one that put his hand up the whole time to take the job. And I'm full amping him up, telling him he's better than everyone else. And lo and behold, later on I find out he's the one that put his damn hand up in the first place. And props to you, so you took the hardest job in the room. And you did a great job at the end of the day. But my God, did I feel a little bit stupid after that job? Did I feel a little bit... You should have seen the things I was saying to him. You should have seen the things I was trash talking all the casters, all the talent. I'm like, how dare they give it to you instead of one of the other talent? Oh,
gotta love it, Mike. Gotta love your motivation. You had the right intention there, Mike. You had the right intention, just maybe in a different thought process. But it works out. I'm sure Avo appreciated it, and I'm sure he's expressing there that it was helpful. So you did a good job, even though it didn't go quite the way you imagined, but it helps. It's I can imagine.
I could only wish the other talent could have seen what I was writing. I was getting so aggressive. When I'm trying to motivate someone, I get really, it's not enough that they're good. Everyone else has to be bad when I'm motivating someone. That's how I am. It's not that you're the best. It's that you're just way better than everyone else as well. Which he was. You still are, Abby. We love you. Mwah. Anyway, moving on. Anything else? What topics have we got, Jonathan? We've had a bit of time off now. What's happened? Tell me about it.
What has happened? I've been... let me simmer on this a bit. This is a bit offhand from Dota, but still somewhat related. So Tim's, as we know, this man is an entrepreneur, Mike. He's got his Eggaholic running, and he's got a PC shop coming up. So I asked him in media day, hey Tim's, if I'm looking for parts, you gonna give me a discount? He's like, of course. I was like, okay. And Tim's, being a man of his word, actually messaged me today, hey, what part do you actually want? I was like, oh, this part. It's like, all right, do you want to put the order in? I'm like, okay. And about that discount, here it is. I'm like, okay. So, I just want to give a quick thank you to Tim's. Mr. Tim's Randrup, thank you very much. I'm ordering some SSDs off of your shop. And I'm going to be very happy because this PC, Mike, it still has a hard drive. I want to toss that thing out. I want all SSDs in this.
Get it out of there.
Get it out. So,
get it out of there, John.
You go. Thank you, Tim's. Maybe soon, Mike, we're expanding. It's not just boom.polaris. What is it? boom.polaris.t1.talon.johnxmike.tim's PC shop. That's it. .mate, of course, can't forget that. That's gonna be me by 2 or 3, Mike. That's all the sponsors I'll have. Maybe even more. Who knows?
Yeah. John's becoming a NASCAR driver with the amount of sponsorships he's got. I mean, you've got so many sponsors now, John. Shaquille O'Neal would be jealous. I mean, just calm down a little bit. Goodness me. Speaking of it, I mean, what's the shop called, John? You've shouted it out. What's it called again?
We'll give him a free shout out. I just know it's like Tim's PC shop. Like that's literally all I know.
They're giving you a discount, and you don't even know the damn name of the shop.
Wait. I'm gonna check. He shared it. It's Tim's Computer Center. It's gonna be right beside Eggaholic if you're in the Pampanga area. So you can buy some PC parts and then go over to Eggaholic, have a great sandwich. Isn't that the great business plan from Tim's, Mike? That's outstanding.
Yeah, but Copious Maximus in the chat has asked the real question, John. Do they have power, though? Do they have power?
I hope so. I'm sure Tim's probably, after that whole fiasco, he probably sent like 100 sandwiches to the Angeles Power Company just to ensure that those guys are well fed so that they keep the power running onto the boot camp. And okay. I think I can share this. I was talking to Gary And he did say that they secured a rental vehicle now. So if things do go south, they've got a rental ready to go, and they can bail out to the net cafe shop in a snap, and they're ready. So even though Polaris posted that picture of them dismantling the power lines, even though everyone's talking about Kyle saying that Boom will win again, they are ready for any circumstance, Mike. They are ready to go at moment's need.
Are they? Well, I hope we don't have to find out if they truly are ready, John. Hopefully no more bad luck here for Boom Esports, especially tonight with such hype series. Can I just say as well, Jonathan, if I was part of the Boom Esports organization, and I am not lying, Jonathan, I would have literally gotten in the car, I would have thrown those players in the damn car, in the boot, wherever I need to, and I would have gotten there. Just so you know, Gary, driver's license or not in PH, I would have stolen the damn car. I would have pretended I'm in GTA. I would have got your boys there, Gary. Just so you know, I would have made sure they got to that damn shop. But long behold, Jonathan, I am not boom.mlp yet. Still, moving on, because you did bring up PC parts. I've got to give a shout out to my boy, right? Longtime fan of mine, longtime viewer. His name's Slayer85. This man, and you know this because he tagged you in it. He said in the chat, "Hey, if MLP wants, I'm going to give him, I'll send him a 3070 Ti, right? The graphics card, that is." Now, keep in mind, I'm still running a 1060, 3GB version, by the way, because I'm a complete moron, right? But I'm still running a 1060, right? So Slayer, I don't know, somewhere along the line, he's probably heard me joking about it, and he said, "Hey, I'll send you a 3070 Ti right now. You know, no problem." And this guy, back when I first started casting, he was really impressed with the cast, and he decided one day, "Hey, you've casted, you probably don't have time to make dinner. Let me send you money, and you can go buy pizza for yourself." And he ended up sending me $70 for pizza, which is a ridiculous amount of money when it comes to pizza. But he sent me $70. Me and the wife got some pizza with pineapple on it, of course, because I'm a cultured man, and it was very enjoyable. So he comes back recently, and he said, "Hey, I'll give you a 3070 Ti." Now, John, I don't know what to say to that, because number one, I do need it, but I was raised as a person that can't accept those kind of gifts, right? Like, you know, mum always told me you can't do that. You know, it's too much money. You can't do it. Now, I don't know what kind of financial position Slay is in, but I imagine he's in a good position, right?
Yes.
Considering he's offering, and clearly he's a very nice person, right? Clearly he's a great person, right? He just wants to help out the boys. And I appreciate helping out the boys. I'm a guy like that likes to help out the boys as well, right? What the fuck do I do, John? Like, let's talk about the truth is, I don't have the money to buy it.
Yes.
Right? I just can't afford it right now. I can't even afford a place to rent it at the moment, right? Hence why I'm in my mother's bedroom right now. So he's offered me a computer part that I kind of desperately need, but at the same time, I feel like morally I can't accept it. As nice as he's being, I can't do it. It's just not in me. I can't say yes. What do you do, John?
I would say for you, I would say accept it. I think because look, he's putting a lot of pressure on me to make you accept. He's been DMing me. He is willing to go very far to get you that mic, and I would rather not go that far to get it. He's very insistent. So I would say yes, and I think this is the mindset you have to take. You know, it's a big, generous gift. What you do is kick it forward. You know, like if you have the chance down the line to help someone out in a big way, do it. It doesn't have to be now.
Right.
It doesn't have to be in the next few months. But I think that's the mindset I have. That's the mindset I have when, you know, I try to help anyone. It's that I don't expect you to pay me back. This might be a huge amount for you. Kick it forward. Pay it forward. You know, it doesn't matter to me. I want to help you out. You need us. And in your case, this is definitely going to help you a massive amount, Mike, because let's face it, that 1060, it chugs, and it's struggling, Mike. So I would say accept it, because otherwise he will make you accept it in a different way, and it would be much better if you just talk to him. I think that's the simplest way. Yeah, just pay it forward. You know, like if he acts as a generous figure in your life, be a generous figure to someone's life in the future. Just pay it back in some other point.
Well, that's rather philosophical of you, John. I appreciate that. That is a fair perspective to offer me here. I don't know. And someone said in the chat, it's rude not to accept a gift, which they are correct. It is rude when someone's offering you a gift and you kind of turn it back and say, no, I can't. But what do you do? Like, again, it's maybe it's that and excuse my, I don't know the politically correct way to say this. I guess Mediterranean, Middle Eastern way is just, you can't. But I don't know. I don't know. I might take your advice. I'll have a talk, because Slayer has sent me some messages. I haven't responded yet. I'll have a chat with him. I'll see what's going on. I mean, he seems to really want to do it. And I mean, if he does do it, I would, I did say to him once back when the pizza thing happened, when I could, I'd come visit him one day. We'll go out to the pub, we'll have a beer together, and we'll have a chat. So it's, obviously, like you said, pay it forward, pay it to somebody else who needs it. Hopefully one day I can afford to do that. We'll see. I'll update you guys next episode. If it does happen, I'll update you guys next episode as to whether I've accepted the gift or not. But thank you anyway to Slayer, even if I don't accept it, because it's a very, very nice thing of him to offer. And certainly, like Avo said, it helps me provide a better product to the viewers, which I suppose in some way is just even better, right? Because now I'm able to give them a better product and everyone's happy, and I guess in some way everyone owes Slayer a thank you in some sense, because the product, is much smoother and whatever else. So shout out to him. Going on though, John, I guess if I did get a 3070 Ti, I'd probably have to upgrade everything else, but...
Well, you could just actually stay on your, what is it, 8700 or 7700K, Mike? I'm not calling you.
7700K.
You could probably stay on that. I feel like you're being GPU bottleneck because of it's mainly like streaming, even on, let's face it, on the 7700, streaming on X264 isn't efficient. So now you could switch over to the NVENC encoder. You could run Dota a lot smoother.
Right.
I think the 3750, you're not under pressure to move the CPU up. And we had that conversation. This might turn a bit tech, but this generation of processors are funky because, especially for Intel, they've got DDR5, whereas their prices are insane. You have to find a DDR4 board, and this is Intel's first big processor. So there's also some what do you call that? Growing pains for that system as well. So I'd say next series is probably going to be best for CPU and ideally GPU buys as well. Of course, if you do need advice, Mike, if you need further advice, I'm sure you could talk to Tim's on the Tim's Computer Center. He would know a lot. So.
Oh, goodness me. Goodness. I mean, I might message Tim's and be like, listen, bro, I've given you a lot of nicknames, Tim's. I've hyped you up a lot, sir. Come on now. I need a good deal, sir. I need that damn PC, Tim's. Help me out, bruv. No, we'll have a chat with him. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Speaking of, can we go back to the jersey situation for a moment, John? The team jersey situation. Shout out to Ninja Boogie, who actually tweeted at me when I did make that post, saying, "Wow, you received your SMG jersey before he did." So it seems like we might be getting a thank you message to Ninja Boogie very, very soon from SMG, and a welcome message to MLP Dota very, very soon for that POS 5 role. But still, what's one thing I've been thinking about a lot that I'd love to see teams do, and I think this would add more personality to the team and the players, is you and I, we're one thing we like to do, or at least me especially, I feel like I start making nicknames for players, right? I start giving them nicknames that we called the Tim's the sniper, right? You had Jackie the Ripper back when Jackie was playing a lot of PA. There's probably a billion names we've called Yopage now. What if with these jerseys, why not add some kind of emblem or logo to represent that nickname? Is what I'm saying, right? Because it adds personality, it adds a bit of hype. So for Tim's, for example, we call him the sniper, and that comes from the fact that he doesn't miss when it comes to Mirana's arrow, right? The man doesn't miss. He's always connecting. And when he's not connecting, he's calibrating his bow and arrow. It's as simple as that. He doesn't miss, right? Why not add like a scope at the back of his jersey or something like that? Yeah, isn't that kind of cool? Is that a bad idea, John? You be honest with me. Is it a bad idea?
No, I think adding that flair for each player is sick. I don't like using the word flair because of Office Space. I just realized I sound like that guy from the restaurant, but it does add flair. I think for Tim's case, I would love to see that snipe, like a crosshair along with him. That picture of him just going like this. I would love that. Stuff like that. Like Yopaj, the picture of him at the back would be like him as a kid. One of those kid pictures of his. I love seeing those. Can you imagine if you were playing in net cafes in Davao at that point, and then you just run into this like little looking kid and he just whoops your ass? Like, geez, I think I've had that experience. In thinking back, it could have been Yopaj as well in that shop. He was about the right age, and he was trash talking like a sailor, Mike. He was calling us all sorts of shit. So maybe it wasn't Yopaj, but like that's keen. So like a young Yopaj at the back for FBZ, him in a suit because he is the CEO. For Scam, I'm not sure what Scam.
A
just
briefcase.
Tattoos?
Briefcase, John.
Yeah, there you go. A briefcase for the FBZ, and of course, a briefcase for Moon as well.
Even better. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on, John. Moon gets the briefcase because Moon was the original CEO.
Yes.
Right, so he deserves the CEO briefcase. But FBZ's always been known as the spine of the team, yes? So why not take a reference from Attack on Titan, for example, put a mad Titan spine as his logo? I mean, Japoi, he's the idol. Why not get some kind of idol behind his jersey? You know what I'm saying, though, John? It adds that little bit of oomph to the team. It makes the jerseys more interesting, I'm just saying, if I was buying a team jersey, and I'm buying a specific player jersey, I would like that little bit of spaz to it, that little bit of sparkle. I don't know. I don't know if it's a good or a bad idea. I just don't think it would be tough to do it. And I'm just saying, if your players are being named something in a positive light, why not run with that? It seems financially feasible and financially positive for the organizations as well, because I don't think many teams do it. They just add a boring name at the back. Oh, there's Yopaj, wow, so exciting, and that's it. Like, it's boring. It's boring. We're esports. Add a bit of flair to it. Add a bit of jazz. I don't know, just spice it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I had this idea for a while, but I think it's a good one, John. I think it's a good one.
You know what, Mike? You should have told Gary much earlier. I'm sure if he did, he would have given the go-ahead, and you would have gotten the jersey. You just didn't move fast enough, Mike. If you have an idea like that, you shouldn't keep it to yourself. You gotta let the people who can do something about it do something about it. And you missed your shot. You could have had one of these, Mike. You could have had a boom sticker with your jersey. But you missed out. You missed out. I'm sure Gary would love that sort of idea. And then if you tell him, he'll take the credit because Gary's a sneaky guy. No, I'm sure he wouldn't. But yeah, you should try talking to Gary. This could end up giving you that boom.smg.mlp soon, Mike. You never know.
Yeah. Jersey coordinator, MLP, the jersey coordinator for Boom Esports. That sounds about right. Novice, what would Whitemons be? Obviously a microphone. I mean, Whitemon straight away, it's the microphone. Maybe like keys and an ignition. That would be pretty funny, but I think microphone is the way to go for Whitemon. I think instantly that's just a. But you see the point though. It's fun, and people like that kind of stuff. They like that personality. Anyway, whatever. We'll see if any team decides to do it. We'll see what happens. I like Gary's idea though. I couldn't notice he was Are they Air Jordan? I don't know what the hell they are. He was doing. He had the whole boom thing on the Nikes, and I thought that was quite nice. That was a cool idea. I like that.
Yeah, those shoes look sick. I saw everyone post it on their stories. I told Scam, Sana All, and he's like, haha. He just haha reacted me. It's like, all right, probably not getting the sneakers. It's only for the guys, but I'm wondering if they are launching that, because that is a sick set of sneakers. I would love to see that. So you never know, Mike. I'm not much of a sneakerhead myself, but having Yopaj on my soles, that sounds pretty weird. Like I'm stomping on Yopaj. Heck, maybe this is a selling point. You sell it to your opponents. You want to stomp on Scam? Buy the shoes and literally run in mud. Then you can get the visceral reaction of stomping on Scam outside a game, at least. In game, different story.
They should make themed iPhones. That's a good idea, Avo. They should probably make themed iPhones. That might actually be a gold mine here for Boom Esports. Still, I mean, I guess we'll leave it at that. You know, no more branding ideas for these teams, Jonathan. They've got to pay up some money to us before they get any more damn ideas. How dare they?
Yeah.
Anything else? I mean, we've probably got roughly, 25, 30 more minutes before we close off the podcast. What else you got, John? I'm putting you under pressure today. I know I've been asking you for all the talking points, but you got anything else before I start reaching for straws?
Let me dig a bit deeper. Oh, it's a little bit of a weird one. It's not Dota related, but I have to say, I've been enjoying Elden Ring, Mike. I think I've expressed this to you a couple of times. Elden Ring is really fun, and I always wonder why people say, oh, it's a game that you rage at. It's like, not really. I feel like and this is where it goes back to Dota a bit. It's like, if you're a person who plays Dota 2 or any MOBA, and nothing will ever get you as mad as playing that MOBA. Nothing. There is nothing as infuriating as Dota. I'm a very calm person until I play Dota 2. You know this, Mike. I'm very calm. That doesn't. I mean, I get worked up about certain news bits and stuff, but nothing gets me as mad as Dota 2. When I play Elden Ring, I'm relaxed. I feel relaxed, even though I die like 20 times. I don't actually feel mad. It's such a break, and I don't know if that says more about me, about the game, or about Dota 2 than it does anything else, but I did want to raise that point. Elden Ring is fun. If you get that 3070 Ti, Mike, you could play some Elden Ring as well. And you could stream it, and then we could watch you mauled. It would be great.
Very, very true. I mean, that is a good point. I can't even run games like that right now. So, you might have a good point, John. And I am, by the way, for anyone wondering, for anyone that has been curious, I am intending on bringing the stream back and trying to get a bit more active with content. But again, living situation's a bit weird right now, not in the best scenario at the moment. So once that's resolved, we are currently looking for houses to rent. So once that's all resolved, I'll get back to it and hopefully have a proper a schedule to happen. But yeah, it's good to hear Elden Ring's going well. I mean, it looked like a very fun game, and I know people are big fans of that genre of game. So, hopefully I can get into it too. And you need a controller for that kind of game, right? Because I've never played them. I'll be honest, I've never played them. So.
I have a few friends who are insane who play it in mouse and keyboard. I would suggest a controller. I actually did get myself a PlayStation 5 controller to have fun with it, but you could play it on keyboard and mouse. My friend has managed to do that. I think he's a bit insane. This fellow of mine's a friend from high school. He was like top 9 in his board exam, so he's a bit kooky, Mike. I wouldn't use him as a case point. I would say get a controller. It's much more manageable with that. But hey, if you are insane, Mike, you could try keyboard and mouse, and that would make for a more Maldi stream. So I'd love to watch that. Maybe you should just do that. Yeah, that would be more Maldi. Yeah, that would be more fun.
Yeah, but I feel like I want to have fun with the game. If I feel like I'm gonna mold anyway because I've never played it, so I'm probably gonna be mad anyway. So why not just have fun and play it properly, but add the MLP mold. Everyone seems to really enjoy watching me literally losing hair as I play these games. We'll try to get it done. Hopefully very, very soon. Apart from that, though, again, someone did ask, why don't you just do it from the shed? Well, currently the shed has no internet. Though I believe that is currently getting fixed. But there's, a very high chance that another lawnmower runs over that cable, considering my luck. So, I can't tell 100% whether I'm going to be back in the shed anytime soon, but hopefully so. Which I suppose I should give a shout out to my mum, John. She stayed up till 4 a.m. the other night while I was casting. She stayed up till 4 a.m. like an absolute soldier, waiting for me to finish. And she didn't even look tired. She looked fine. She was watching some Arabic drama show, and she found it hilarious. She was just laughing the whole time. And, well, shout out to Mum for being a soldier and just staying up through the cast. You'd love to see it.
Yeah, Godspeed. Mums are the best, aren't they, Mike? They make the best food.
They are, John.
They make the best everything, and they always stand up for their little boys. I'm sure your mama's little boy, Mike. It's always good to see that.
I am.
No shame in that, Mike.
Always.
Don't let anyone shame you for that. It's no problem. Good to see. Yeah. And I had a talking point. Oh yeah, I think I wanted to point this out before we closed out, Mike. What is up with that Twitter poll you placed about your beard? Why are you doing this? Why are you asking? What's up with that?
Let me tell you, John, I was lacking a lot of sleep at the time. I was in a very bad mood and I needed some way to laugh. So I decided, you know what? The beard's been getting a bit long. It's a bit unkept. I haven't been taking care of it as well as I should be. And I thought, why not? Why not leave it to the people? You know, the people can tell me what they want of you. Do they like the long beard? Do they want it to be longer? Do they want it styled? Do they want it clean shaven? Avo Plus, he wants the full shave. It doesn't seem like it's happening. In fact, live results on the podcast right now. What has won John X Fire? I believe the poll is already over. It had a full 24 hours. It is, it's going to be Leave It, You Madman. So we are leaving it. 41.9% of the 432 votes on Twitter said leave it. 28.9% said trim it. And 29.2% said clean shave. So we had clean shave and trim style beard. Very, very close. Only a 0.3% difference. But an overwhelming victory here from Leave It. So it turns out the beard is at least going nowhere for the next month or so, John. The beard is remaining. We'll see how long I'm willing to put up with it. Maybe I'll put another poll in a month and we'll see what people have to say.
Yeah, I'm keen to see. I don't think I've ever seen your beard grow that long. I think at some point you tend to trim. So I'm looking forward to how much more it can get. As I've told you, Mike, it reminds me of, say, those old Middle Eastern empires and, the images of their rulers, like Darius II. Was it Darius the First, Cyprus the Second, Citrus the Second? Stuff like that. So it's majestic. It is looking good, and I would like to see how much longer it can get, Mike. So I'm keen on seeing just how far it goes. I don't know how far it goes. I don't know if you've ever seen how far it goes, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I haven't. This is getting towards the point where it's the longest I've left it. So we're gonna go through this journey together, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna see how it looks. I can assure you my wife is extremely unhappy with it. She is not happy whatsoever with the poll results. Neither is my mother. But they don't get a damn choice in it, Jonathan. They don't. They got their vote. They put their votes in. But at the end of the day, they're equal to everyone else. And unfortunately, their votes did not matter in this case, as it's been an overwhelming victory for Leave It. So there you go.
Oh yeah.
I guess we can probably maybe leave it at that. For anyone asking, we are casting in an hour and a half from now. So the two upper division games that are going on, John and I will be there. I believe Aries and Danog are doing a brilliant job right now on the lower division game that's going on. In fact, I might be able to still get there to be able to catch the tail end of it. But yeah, we'll be back for the upper division. And yeah, I mean, there's some things I haven't told you before we completely cut off, John. I will be doing a female league on Saturday, the 26th, and well, unfortunately, you and I can't be together for that because they only needed a play-by-play. So my apologies, John, but I'll be doing the FSG, I think it's called. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't read up on it too much quite yet, but I'll be doing a women's league for Saturday, and as well as that, I believe I'm going to be on another podcast tomorrow, which only came up this morning. So you might. Yeah, I believe I'll be on the Daniel Offen Position 6 podcast tomorrow. So there you go, Jonathan. Something a little bit fancy, and judging by the fact that I'm getting it, you're probably going to get it soon after.
We'll see. I'm looking forward to hear what you've got to say without me meddling in your thoughts there, Mike. And I'm also looking forward to you covering the female league. Those games are always fun. But I believe, as you said, this is a good point to close out. Me and Mike have definitely not yet prepped for our cast, as you can tell. So you've got to start looking good for the cameras as we will be going up. But that's it for this week's episode. Thanks everyone for dropping by. Tune in next week. Okay. What?
No. Before we completely turn off, every week you forget to host somebody. Who are we hosting, John? Once the stream cuts off, who's getting hosted?
We're dropping by Dreamosel. He's the only one I can really see. No. We're raiding Ricky. I see Ricky on. We're raiding Ricky. Our cryptic.
Raid Ricky.
So we'll drop by for a voice, but thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you all next time. We're aiming to have it around this time every week, so it's convenient for Mike to get to his mom's house, and look forward to that next week as well. But thanks for dropping by. We'll see you all next time. Ciao.